want you to tell me this. We don't want you getting out of this place just yet. You have a debt to pay for us, the Bartman exclaimed. I began to question what exactly this place was. I looked around and saw out of the corner of my eye very tiny security cameras tucked away in corners of the walls. Was it being monitored? Like a lizard? Just when I thought things couldn't get any spookier, Marge stepped forward from the group and slid a small gray rectangular thing. It was a VHS tape. Not again, my mind screamed. The tape, it read... The Crimsons!
The Crimson!
For what I could only assume was a very morbid and scary version of the Simpsons TV show. I shuddered at the thought of having to watch yet another twisted tape, but if this was my only way out, this was my only way of clearing my bad record, I figured I had to endure to the psychological torture, just once more. They took me to a room, handcuffed, sat me down in a tiny plastic chair. In front of me was an ugly-looking old TV that they slipped the tape into. If I knew just how bad what I was about to watch was, I'd pray to old Jiminy Christmas to salt my eyeballs. Clouds parted and Springfield came into view. Footage cut straight to black, but faded in again in front of the Simpsons household. The Spimson household. Why, I couldn't believe it. The Twilight Zone intro narrator, Rod Sterling, crossing his hands and looking down at me. He spoke something that I don't think was from the show. He might have said it, though. I just never would watch TV shows that would make me go, gadzooks, instead of hoo-hoo. Imagine, if you will, ponder, the creeping feeling, suspicion of the unearthly, by Damned, the darkness, as it becomes less unfathomable. One day, he walked, the scary monster, ha-ha-ee. I didn't know what that meant, so I'll skip that part. Onto the episode itself. I knew that things weren't quite right. The VHS had a very light red hue over it, almost as if it was getting a heat stroke. The episode began like any other. However, Homer Simpson awoke from his bed. He was greeted by chirping birds and sunlight. A serene scene was very deceptive of what would come next. Homer went downstairs to greet the family. Everyone was there, but this doing something really let me know this was off. They didn't do the couch gag. Homer walked past everyone, said hi, grabbed his coat, just walked towards his power plant job. Every stinking Simpsons fan, and a greater Toon fan such as myself, knows that they always do the couch gag. A staple of Simpson ignored? I shuddered to know just what else could go wrong. The episode continued with Homer driving to his workplace, the Simpsons nuclear power plant. He seemed sad. He sat down at his desk and opened a quickie bar to eat, tears dribbling down the wrapper. They were so detailed. It's as if I could reach into the screen and drink them.
Oh, God.
Homer's tears began to short-circuit the electronics in front of him on his desk, the flying sparks startling out of his sad daze. Before I or Homer knew it, his office space caught on fire. Within seconds, the mighty Springfield power plant sparked all over the place, and workers ran around screaming awful, bloody murder. Good Lord, what have you done in there? One of the men shouted. Homer stepped out of his office and looked around for an escape. He ran past vats of nuclear waste, and it was then that he reached to a catwalk. The stampede of men trotted and galumped across the vicinity. Before Homer knew it, he was knocked away and fell to one of the vats of nuclear waste.
No,
I tried to put my eyes away at the horrors where presented before me. I looked back behind myself, and the Simpsons FBI agents, to my surprise, stood motionless, watching me like hungry vultures. Gulp, I said as I gulped. This was a scary, but I had to press on. Stepping out of the vat, Homer had a green glow around him. He'd become a mutant, as green veins coursed through his body as well. His sadness turned to rage, and he looked like he was ready to F someone up. This mutant Homer roared with the fury of 1,000 suns and marched out of the power plant in a hurry. He wasn't just on a mission to be angry, he was on a mission to kill. Marching through the streets of Springfield, Mutant Homer trademark started vaporizing all in his way with his Homer laser trademark. Entire houses became smoldering ruin, with the citizens of Springfield being caught in the flames. Bo, Milhouse, Principal Skinner, Ralph, Apu, and even Ned Flanders became scorched piles of flesh. Whoever animated the sequence before was a sick and twisted individual. What kind of monster would go through their cartoons and make them this dark and depraved? It's a
Even
tragic
Ned
sight.
Flanders?
I yelled up into the sky so my voice could hit the stratosphere. Why, God? Why? I yelled, clawing my nails into the wall above the TV. The agents grabbed my shoulders and sat me down again. Suddenly, my gaze turned back to the telly, and I saw him. The monster that plagued me months ago. The one that does nothing but roars like a loud, thunderous drone. It was Bam Bam. I winced in fear
No!
at the troublesome toddler, but even though he was only in the cartoon, could I be sure if he was real? My questions remained unanswered as Mutant Homer trademarked fighters Homer Laser trademarked at Bam Bam, and in a stunning revelation, the laser was useless. It bounced back off of Bam Bam and in an instant hit Mutant Homer trademarked. With such a force it exploded into him into bloody chunks. Just as blood splayed all over the screen, and the footage cut out abruptly. Perhaps this could be the end, I wondered? Homer, the evil of the cartoon, was slain. Unlike Dread Grimstone, he was a pushover. But the sinking feeling in my heart knew that this was only the beginning. I noticed that despite the TV turning blackened, the red tint from before was still there. It was much more visible this time. I reached out to touch the screen, and my hand stove burned like it. I could only attune this to the fires of hell itself. Did you grab the dark spellbook? Marge Simpson said. Yeah, I got one from the cabinet in the basement, Bart stammered. Lisa, sweetie, could you bring the light over here? Marge spoke. And with that, a candle was brought under center frame, revealing Tat the Simpsons were dressed in some kind of menacing cloakwear. Let there be light, I would say, but God was not with these Simpsons. The Simpsons family had all gathered around the living room and had placed a table in the center, boarding it with two couches. There was disturbing symbols and writing on the walls and floor, and combined with yet more candlelights, it looked like the Simpson family were performing some kind of dark demon ritual summoning. And that they did! My pupils vibrated intensely, tears welled up in my eyes. I never thought cartoons could be this satanic. The Simpsons, Marge, Bart, Lisa, and even Maggie gathered in a circle and held hands with each other. Surrounding the dark spellbook Marge requested, there were scribblings of unknown text, and most shocking of all, a fully sized skinned cow skull. The Simpsons closed their eyes. The candles burned brighter. My TV turned redder. It seemed like it was going to burst into flames at any rate. Scary noises emanated from my TV as the Simplem's eyes shot open bulgingly with bright white light. As all the Simp Sorens chanted aloud, what struck my ears was nothing short of bone-chilling. O Homer Simpson,
No.
'tis of thee, your presence grants a mighty need, with eyes of hell and a rock skull. Render devil's grasp all but
Oh
null.
god.
From destruction comes Springfield resurrection. The dark spellbook spewed a dark, gassy cloud which spun around and formed what I can only say is utterly spooky. The skull warped and twisted until it grew hyperly detailed with flesh and gunk, until it became what looked like a very gross meatball. I was about to puke again, but I realized my bucket wasn't with me, so I held back. As the meatball shifted around and morphed into something Simpsonian. It was Homer, but larger, meaner, and scarier too. This Simpson was on the move. He scurried across the living room table and slumped repositioning himself upright for my shattered mind to behold in. Eyes were dark pupils, and his body was a meaner, more rage-filled shade of red. Marge yelled in surprise. What in the frizzle fraz happened? Why did Homer stay a demon? I thought we set up that resurrection spell correctly. Marge investigated the spot of the summoning circle marked into the spellbook, and amongst the shrapnel of the cow skull, there was black spots of powder. Licking it, Marge squinted and figured out it was oregano powder. I was just trying to add a little pepper, man, Borch said. I figured I'd try to add it in case the demons wanted a bargain to forgive Dad's soul. Well, now you done and blew it, Marge said. Now look at Homer. He's a monster. Marge screamed as Demon Mutant Homer trademarked began to bellow and flip tables, rip up couches, and cause all sorts of mess. Marge sighed. I didn't want to have to do this, but there's no way that thing's Homer anymore. and there's no way we can stop it from destroying the world. Unless... The camera panned over to a square impression on the wall. Marge raised a remote and pressed it. The impression flipped. Right there was a big green button that said BFN. Lisa
Hmm.
pressed it, and just then the screen began to shake. I myself could almost feel the vibrations and fell over in my chair. I looked up, lest I be sorrowfully reminded by the CIA agents for foregoing my duty. Apparently, the BFN stood for Big Freaking Nuke, because the scene cut to Krusty the Clown minding his business at a street corner, juggling, entertaining kids. But a trap door in the street opened and unveiled a nuke, and it was big and freaking. And when it rose up out of its hangar, it pushed Krusty up on its tip as he screeched a crush dealer screech. The force of the atomic weapon blasted into the sky, and in a second that went so fast my simple eyes couldn't keep up, Krusty was no more, for he disappeared as quickly as he appeared. Come on, kids, let's head to the bunker in the basement. We can't waste a second out here, Marge commanded her two children, Bart and Loisa. Unfortunately, as they ran to the basement, Demon Mutant Homer trademark grabbed the leg of Bart and started gnawing at it. Help me! Bart screamed. Marge peered from behind the door and looked disapprovingly. You're dead, Bart. The door shut, and in an instant, a loud kaboom rang my ears. Turning a bright white now instead of red, the TV screen displayed once more barely realistic and detailed footage of the nuke exploding as it wiped Springfield across the face of the planet in a blast. It was so violent and visceral, I would sooner wish to watch videos of cute puppies and kittens to cleanse my mind than to spend another second being forced to view such atrocities. And everything turned white. The camera opened back into a completely ruined Springfield. The house is burned. God, my nose is congested. I haven't breathed through my nose in like 10 minutes. Christ. The house is burned, but the smoldering remains of the streets and fixtures reduced to blackened ash. Heading over to what once was the Simpsons house, emerging from the rubble was a horrendous sight. Demon Mutant Homer trademark had now become double mutated by the radiation, and so unfurling himself was an even more wicked beast. Double Demon Mutant Homer trademark had such a gnarly appearance that it escapes words. Fortunately, while I'm bleeding, I managed to draw a picture, with my own blood, of what the creature looked like and attach it to this email. But wait! I'm spoiling the rest of the story! Back to the past! The footage became more distorted the longer the beast was on screen. His red skin matched perfectly with the sky, ground, just about everything in Springfield. It was like the world was baked in a red hue. Double Demon Mutant Homer trademarked foraged around in the rubble for morses as he drooled and licked his long rows of teeth with slobber. I saw before me, shuffling in the rubble in a smaller pile. The camera fixated on it, and breaking out of it was Bart! He was still alive, but horribly irradiated. His skin was bumpy and his teeth crooked, much like his father's. I couldn't stand to see his ugliness. Bah! I said. This is repulsive! The CIA agent seemed to nod in agreement. Double Demon Mutant Homer trademark couldn't stand to look at it either, as he swung his big hands down and grabbed the mutated Bartholomew, roared, and gobbled him up in his pelican mouth. Bart was chewed into exactly 68 pieces. Don't worry, I counted. Which fell from the mouth and scattered and bounced off the ground. Dark storm clouds rolled in, full of gray smoke that I had no doubt was coming from the bomb. I watched as the Homer Beast chortled in glee at his decimated son, but no sooner did he do so than a mutated figure of Marge appeared to challenge him. Both creatures exchanged roars like wild prehistoric animals who seemed more than ready to square up. The Marge thing was taller than Double Demon Mutant Homer, but the radiation had twisted her form into an eerie spire made of stilts. Before the two mighty beasts collided, the footage distorted even further, and more worryingly, sparks flied out of the TV. I shot back in my chair, this time falling head over heels. My worst fear was realized, as the increased redness of the screen and got the burningly hot heat given off by the television, that this thing was more microwave than a cooked potato. A loud, booming, but strangely southern-sounding voice rang out.
Dinner's ready.
Oh my god.
With a loud ding, the TV finally short-circuited and exploded. I was lucky to narrowly miss the heat flying glass and shrapnel heading my way, but what came stepping out of the TV screen was far, far worse. Somehow, a full-sized white man fit inside that TV. Yes, a real man of flesh and real blood, it seemed. He had leather boots and blue jeans, a denim jacket, and a blue plaid undershirt to match. He stepped out of it with no problem at all, towering over me. I could see that he had a stubbly beard and mustache, had dirty brownish blonde hair and blue eyes, and he looked to me like an action hero protagonist. But I could tell he had sinister intentions with that toothy grin on his face. Hey, fella, pick yourself up. You're on camera. He pointed above me, his arms straight out, and that's when I noticed and pried my head away from whence it had been facing and saw a security camera placed on a tall corner of one of the walls of the room. I asked the man what the heck was happening. Was I being recorded? Of course you are. You make fine entertainment. I was just waiting for a sucker like you to fall into my trap. That didn't make sense. Trap? But what kind of trap would involve me watching a haunted VHS tape? I did a little twirl and looked around the room. There was two double doors that I failed to notice to the right of me, and out came two more men in suits, this time with a large bag. A large human-sized bag. My eyes gevil-snorked around for any signs of exit, but they prominently landed on the room just behind the doors. A room that seemed like a control center with cameras, and most notably was a large computer with a frail old man behind it, as he seemed to be adjusting a video editing program. A video featured me and a face cam watching The Crimsons. The mysterious man spoke once more. I think we may need to roll things back a bit. You don't know who I am, but the folks around here call me the boss. These agents wearing the Simpson gear that snatched you, they're all part of my content farming scheme. And so are you. We'd be making money out of you watching you jump around and scream at these spooky tapes I made. Reaction videos are all the rage these days. You made them? I gasped. Is that why they're so freaking scary? Though sooner than those words left my mouth, I remembered the initials on the package I got. The package that started all this. D and J. I was the one who sent you that rager's tape. I was the one who told the police to place you on house arrest. I was the one who sent my CIA goons to kidnap you. I've been watching over you ever since I went to check your mailbox. I have eyes everywhere. I am God. My ears couldn't believe the words being drummed at my face. Is this was the true master of our universe look like? Some kind of narcissistic southern-sounding version of Jesus? My anxiety peaked when the boss reached inside of his shirt pocket and pulled out a pistol. Thanks to my quick thinking, I swiftly dodged the bullet that went past my shoulder. It hit one of the Simpson mask people behind me. Go! One of them said. That's how I knew he killed the Homer man as he slumped to the ground, dead. My feet flew like butterflies as I pushed past the two men who came out of the control center. I barged into the room and took everyone inside by surprise. The boss yelled after me, "Where are you going? The fun's just started!" As I passed several people who I could assume were employees. There was a frail old man with white streaks of hair that eyed me as I ran, and I quickly picked up pace. It was nightmarish as he practically lunged at me like an animal that leaps on things. It was then that the frail man pulled a taser on me, and I got zapped. I was shocked. My shoulder was electrified by the sharp metal prongs, and I had to lay down. I knew I had to keep running, or certain death would come my way. I slouched over to the corner, down a long, sterile hallway. About the boss was close behind, repeating the phrase, "I'm gonna get you," over and over. Panicking, I saw one of those vent chute thingies and jumped into it to make an escape. I slid down the vent like a swirly slide. Only this slide was a slide of evil.
Oh
Tumbling down into the long
no!
tubular ventilation, I rolled and fell into a pit that reeked full of stench. I got my bearings and stood up and found that I was stepping on corpses. Yikes! All of them were bloodied and showed signs of bullet holes and stab wounds. As I crept over the pile of bodies, I found that it seemed to slope and get smaller the further I walked, and could see floor. The blood came out of waves that splattered on everything. Even to my surprise, boxes full of VHS tapes. This must be the storage room where they stored them. This is where the Grimstones was sent to me from. I took my time to slowly gather my surroundings as I walked further into the spooky and dimly lit halls that stood before me, for it was my only way out. There was no escape from here but up, and by goodness there was no way to go but the way I came. Could it be? I thought to myself when I stumbled upon an elevator at the end of a long, dark, inconspicuous hallway. Unfortunately, dear Rita, it was not. For it is the reason why I am slowly bleeding out while typing this. The boss was there when I opened the steel doors, and he shot me in the chest. I ran away from him in fear that he would shoot me again. As I paced the other rooms and the hallways, it seemed like a labyrinth with no hope of escape. I did, however, Managed to find a computer room, open a laptop, open Google Drive, and type all of this out as a warning. I will convert this message as an email and send it to someone on some unknown facilite. Do not pick up random packages from your mailbox as I bleed out, pouring bloody blood all over the floor and onto the laptop keys. I finally know now why they call it the Crimson.